Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to Ms. Perkins' literature class. It's so nice to have you back with me today on day 2 of our lesson on drawing conclusions. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Hope that everyone is doing well today. All right, let me take this down. And you are ready for another great day of learning with this. All right. So again, before I start, I wanted to remind you that our ultimate goal is to get to drawing conclusions. But before we get there, we have to take a little journey to make sure that we understand the components of the text that we're reading before we can start looking below the surface, right? So we're going to take a surface level dive of our text first, and then we're going to go deep into the text to be able to draw our conclusions, okay? So let me go ahead. Drawing conclusions, lesson number 2. Let's review. So yesterday we had another type of text features chart, but I picked this, so I found this, and I like this a lot better. So over here, let me get my little pointer, my little laser. Over here at the top, we have our heading, nonfiction text feature charts. Okay, and then we have text features, and we have different types. So we have the title page, table of contents, index, glossary, heading. Then we go over here, we have photograph, illustration, caption, labels, graph, and table. So I'm only going to highlight a few of these, and what I've done is I have included this document, this text features chart, into the learning plan. So if you want to take a look at it later, feel free. So we are going to look at the heading. We used that yesterday. It tells us, it's like a title on a sheet, like an article, or you might see on the newspaper, telling us what we're about to read in terms of this topic. Okay, and then there's subheading, and the subheading gives us an idea of what is going to be discussed in a section. Okay, and so we're going to get into all of that. Over here we have the photograph, and then we have illustration, we have caption. Okay, so on the sheet also, what else I liked about it is it has the purpose on here. So next to each one, it gives you the purpose and it gives you an example. Okay, so the reason why we have a title, and then some examples, all right, to help deepen your understanding. So let's go on to the next part. So where can we find nonfiction text features? Again, this is a review. We can find nonfiction text features in a cookbook. We can find it in a brochure for an amusement park or a brochure. We can find it in our manuals, so our student books. And we can find it on directions for a game, or directions for putting something together. Okay, so these are different places where you would find nonfiction text features. And remember, yesterday I asked you to think of some other places where you can find some nonfiction text features. So I know you thought of some yesterday, so take a couple minutes, not minutes, maybe 10 seconds, and think of another one, another place where you would be able to find nonfiction text features. So now, when we find nonfiction text features, we know that the author's purpose is to either inform us of something, giving us information, persuading us on something, so trying to get us to do something, or explaining, telling us how to do something. So inform, like you would find in your textbook, information in your science book or your social studies book, the author is trying to inform you. Persuade, if you go to King's Dominion and you look at the brochure, like you look at this brochure really closely, you can see they're about to have a lot of fun on this roller coaster, and there's some water there, so they're trying to get you to want to go to their amusement park. And then explain, like on a board, a game board, or in a cookbook, okay? So 3 different types of author's purpose: inform, persuade, and explain. So our learning objective has changed from yesterday. Today we are, I can make, confirm, or revise predictions. That is our I can statement. So yesterday's strategy that was introduced to you was, before reading, look at the text features and predict. We want to predict genre, whether the text is fiction, it's not real, with characters and settings and conflicts, things that aren't real are occurring in the story, or is it nonfiction text? Is it based on real people, real places, real things? We want to predict the author's purpose. I can look at the text features and I can determine maybe that this is informed. The author's purpose is to inform us of something, or persuade us of something, or explain something to us. I can look at the text features and I could come up with, what is this talk? What's the topic? And then from there, what will the text be about? What will the topic expand upon? What will the topic be about? Okay. So then the next thing that we did was we made some predictions using the text features that I pulled out from the text that we're going to read. The genre of the text is nonfiction. That was my prediction. Okay. And I said nonfiction because I see nonfiction text features. So this isn't really what pulled me in. Learning at home, I know that that is a real thing. But that's not the only thing that led me to the fact that this might be nonfiction. This is a real person. This is a real computer. Based on what I know that's happening in the world, learning at home is actually taking place. That's a real life, true event. It has a kid's name and their age here. I see a subheading here. I see this Times for Kids, and I know that that magazine usually has nonfiction text in it. So I made the prediction that the genre of the text is nonfiction. The author's purpose is to inform. So learning at home, coming together, neither one of those made me feel like it was trying to persuade me to do anything. And neither one of those made me feel like it was explaining how to do something. I really believe that the author's purpose is to inform us about learning at home. And then so the main idea of the text is what it's like learning at home, okay? So our job here when we use the 3-part strategy is we make our prediction, we read and we look at the details, and then we figure out whether or not our predictions, we can confirm them, or whether or not we need to revise them, okay? So first step, check, we've done it. We made our predictions. And if your predictions are different, that's fine, because these are my predictions. We may find that I may need to revise my predictions. We don't know until we read further. All right, so think about, what predictions did you make? And just take a minute. If you do not have the sheet from yesterday, I would like for you to pause me and go ahead and get your sheet where you made your prediction. If you didn't make it, that's fine. Start thinking about, what do you predict that the text will be about based on what I just showed you. And also, you want to make sure that you have a sheet of paper and a pencil and some coloring supplies, just in case you want to color when we do our notes. So the next step is the during reading. We did the before reading, now it's the during reading. So we want to look for, identify important details from the text. So we can start thinking about, are our predictions correct? Or are our predictions incorrect? Not correct. All right, so let's read. And as we're reading, we're thinking. Educators find new ways of reaching distant learners. Students all over the world have been learning from home because of the coronavirus pandemic. More than 90% of students worldwide have been affected by school closures. That's according to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Teachers and students are getting used to this sudden change. Most learning is taking place online in virtual classrooms. But some students don't have access to computers and tablets or good Wi-Fi. Educators say the pandemic has highlighted the digital divide. That's the split between those who have access to the internet and those who do not. It's been impacting students all across the country. Sonia Santelises told Time for Kids, she's the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools in Maryland. In a time of crisis, she says, that divide is clearer and it's starker. Okay, so we came across two words. I'm going to stop. We came across virtual. And we see virtuals in bold print and it is highlighted. So when we look over here, virtual means not physical existing, but stimulated by computer software. Okay, so when it says most learning is taking place online in virtual classrooms, that means that it is happening on the computer. Classroom is happening on the computer. Over here, the word starker, severe or obvious. So that divide is clear and it's obvious or it's severe. So the divide between who has the technology and who doesn't is something that they're looking at. Okay, so the coming together section, I'm going to have you read that on your own for some of your practice when you go in and you think about some of the other details that you want to look at to determine whether or not my prediction is can be confirmed or whether it needs to be revised, but also your own predictions. So we're going to gather some details here, but on your own, go in and see if you can find some additional details. All right, so I predicted that the text genre is nonfiction. My evidence, nonfiction text features, includes many facts. More than 90% of students worldwide have been affected by school closures. Real people and places. I predicted that the main idea of the text is what it's like learning at home. So these are my details, right? So my evidence, students all over the world have been learning at home because of the coronavirus. My prediction, what it's like learning at home. And then in the first sentence of the first paragraph, this is what it says. Students all over the world have been learning at home because of the coronavirus epidemic, right? So I predict that the author's purpose is to inform. My evidence, 90% of students worldwide have been affected by school closures. That's according to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Educators said that the pandemic has highlighted the digital divide, all providing us with information. School districts across the United States are finding ways to overcome the digital divide. So now I'm going to confirm my prediction. I'm going to revise my prediction. Okay, so first thing I did is I made my predictions on the genre, the author's purpose, and the main idea. Then while I was reading, I found details that either supported my predictions or details that made me think, okay, maybe I need to revise them. So now I finished reading, I finished pulling my details out. Now I'm thinking about, is my prediction correct? Do I need to confirm it? Or is my prediction incorrect, not correct, and I need to revise it? Okay. So, genre of text, I said nonfiction. Check mark. I was right. It is nonfiction. Based on the evidence that I pulled from the text, this is nonfiction text, real people, real places, real events. It is based on truth, right? Something real. Main idea of the text, what it's like learning at home. Now, this one we stopped and we took a look at because this is definitely one that I'm going to need to revise because the actual main idea came out of the first paragraph, first sentence, and it states students all over the world have been learning at home because of the coronavirus epidemic. Okay, so even though it wasn't totally off, it's not right. So I'm going to need to revise it. And I found evidence that showed it wasn't right, this sentence in the first paragraph. So I know that I need to make some changes. I need to fix it up. Okay, author's purpose, I said, was to inform. Check mark. Absolutely, the author's purpose was informing us about students learning at home because of the coronavirus. It talked about the divide between students who didn't have technology and those who did have technology. So it was providing us with information. So, did you confirm or revise your predictions? Text genre. Did you pick fiction or nonfiction, and were you right? Did you confirm it or did you need to revise it? Author's purpose, did you pick inform, persuade, or explain? Were you right? Could you confirm it? Or did you need to revise it? And then the last one, main idea. Did you confirm it or did you need to revise it? All right, so that is it for today's lesson. And I want to say you guys did a great job as always, And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for our day 3 of learning. Bye.